there are many more reasons such as conservation of resources. So it's a resource, and if you preserve it, you preserve skills and traditions, and you can preserve it for quality of life, for continuation of past into future, for identity, for character and appearance, for stability and continuity, for architecture and for tourism. So heritage should be treated as a resource. So if you have heard of Lille in France, it's a good example. So Lille is a abandoned, just neglected city before 20 years from now. So now it's a booming tourist place. How they have made it like this? It's a historic city full of ancient old buildings, medieval period buildings with characters. So by learning, here again, this city, these buildings are just abandoned, and just I think it was not a good city before then. Now how did they made it? Because they utilized these buildings, the local government and the central government tried to use this as a communication hub. That means the speed trains are coming. It's a crossroad of the speed trains. So now this has become a good tourist destination. So people from other areas of Europe come to Lille and spend sometime one day or one evening, and then they go back. Now all these buildings have gained their life, and the city is very lively one. So by learning from others, if values are considered as resources for development, there is a way to integrate both development and conservation. So it is so then we come to Jaffna again. So we just gone through other cities in the world, and now why Jaffna is important. So what is Jaffna to us today? So it's a gridded city, and Dutch colonial buildings are there, but still you can see some indigenous inputs and indigenous shaping. So unchanged grid city is very significant. Yeah, this is a old plan of, not very old, but it is 1960s drawn plan of this area. So here you can see the fort, the Dutch fort, and this is the area we are now talking about. So we have a clear gridded layout. So we should identify the attributes that contribute to form the character of the Jaffna city. So they can either physical or non-physical. We should not talk about physical things always. So there are non-physical, intangible aspects also. So physical, when we think of physical attributes, we call road layout, pattern, what we buildings, and what we see from road ends like this. So this is a well preserved area because of this, because during last 30 years the development activities were not taken place, but there are damaged buildings also because of the war. But in terms of character, and their original and authentic characters are there. This is a very old sketch of city. It's soon after the arrival of Dutch. So here you can notice the fort and how the layout has come in. So that means normally when the outsiders come to occupy our lands, they select the habitats used by our people. So we don't know what was there. So if there were buildings, they could not put these roads. So if there had been roads like this, they could develop it on that. So because when we think of the forts also, we have forts everywhere along rivers. So all these places are very crucial locations. How did they find them? On their arrival, they didn't have Google satellite maps or anything, but because those places are also utilized by our people for the control of the area, so we can think like that. So this is again Jaffna. During Portuguese period. So Portuguese port is different to that what we have today. So and here again we can see that some do not to this extent, but again there is a grid thing. So we normally identify that gridded cities are belongs to, or the design concept is belongs to Dutch. This is a very clear layout, and here you can identify how the lands are distributed, and we call urban tissue. So urban tissue can be easily identified by this. So this is what we have at the moment. Here some buildings are gone or demolished, but there is a good stock of buildings still with the characters and the qualities. So we will try to compare or just see how other cities were designed or developed as against the Dutch, and we had Dutch cities and also other interior cities during the before colonial, and sometimes we call medieval cities. So this is Colombo during Portuguese, and this is the area now we call as Movie-pt-2. And during the Dutch period it's like this, and today it is, so that here it gives you a very clear picture that all the roads and the road layouts were developed from Portuguese period, or how Portuguese have started this. So we have to go back to trace the history. I think some kind of layout must have been there, similar to this, or otherwise they had to destroy all these things and build layout. So I think they also have used what was there, and maybe with development and additions. and Nigambu. Nigambu is also having a Dutch fort. And again, outside the fort you have a gridded city. So, but I don't think that buildings are still with the original characters. Most of the buildings have been changed. There was no any preservation action or movement like. But still you can see the road layout only in this Nigambu, very rare old building. And Matara, the fort, and here you can see gridded. To some extent Matara buildings were preserved, but yeah, there are a lot of places you can find the buildings were demolished and changed, and those activities are going on. But this is a good example to see this. But the Matara or Nigambu, all these places are undergone development during this last period. And Galle is a well-preserved area because of the interventions of archaeological department and urban development authority. So it's a but this is little bit different concept. The city is inside. The gridded city is inside the fort. And I just selected Kandy also. Well, this is one of our last kingdom, and here again we have some grid layout. So that means when Dutch couldn't go to this, they didn't occupy Kandy. But still we have grid layout. We know that these sections were given for chieftains. All